on Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, I want to take you through some of my personal highlights with firmware 28 for the Axe FX3. There is an updated and overhauled compressor block, there's a new amp model, and there's some fun additions like new Univibe algorithms, a 5-knob tube driver model, and additions to the tremolo block. Let's start with this Brit 800 Studio 20 amp model, a brand new amp model. It's based on the Marshall SC20, which is basically a 20-watt version of the iconic JCM 800 2203 amp. I'm playing a Chillier Bell Aurora straight into the Axe FX3. You can see the settings on here: gain, bass, middle, and treble at 7, presence and master at 3. I'm using my free IR and a little bit of this gold plate reverb. This thing is an awesome rock amp with humbuckers, or if you're going to use single coils or split or tapped humbuckers, cleans up really nicely as well. To my ears, it's a little chimier and maybe a little less chunky sounding than the 2203 and 2204 models in there, but that can be a really good thing, especially if you're playing in a band with multiple guitars and you don't need all that extra low end in there. I also really like the way it cleans up. This sounds lovely in that split coil mode on here with the updated classic vibe. You can see the rate I've got at 1.8 hertz. Everything else is at the stock settings. We'll hear the classic vibe and then the new modern vibe type on here. Univibe into a Marshall style amp is just a recipe for success, in my opinion. I love the way that sounds. I personally kind of like the modern vibe on there. It plays a little nicer with my humbuckers on this guitar, but the classic vibe absolutely does the classic Univibe thing. The compressor block has been updated and overhauled. There's a bunch of new types in here, but I particularly like the JFET Studio comp in here, and I love doing the stacked compression trick with this, combining it either with identical settings on the JFET Studio comp or going for a really fast attack and slower release time first up, stacked with something like the optical compressor with a longer attack time, and again, quite a long release on here. You can also adjust the level of one comp into the other on there. This is just a classic trick. I think the JFET Studio comp sounds amazing on its own, and you can use it as a tonal enhancer and a boost in front of either a clean amp or a dirty amp like I've got it here, but it really comes to life stacked. And if you're a slide player, you absolutely have to try 2 comps together on there to get that classic 70s slide tone. Let's just hear 1 comp and then 2. Another great trick with the compressor types is to run them after the amp and cab. You can set the input level to line to optimize this. Again, something like the JFET Studio Comp, the optical compressor that we heard earlier, or the bus style VCA compressor works really great here, where you keep the ratio somewhere around 3 or 4, depending on the comp type. I like a fast attack and the release somewhere between 50 and 100 milliseconds, and set the threshold so that basically when you've got the compressor on and your guitar cranked up, there's not much of a tonal difference going on. But then when you wind back your volume control to kind of clean the tone up and get a bit of sparkle, without the comp, it's going to sound a bit thin and anemic, and with the comp, it's going to fatten everything up. I really like with the JFET and optical types, there is the ability to add drive to them, which we heard a little earlier in that stack configuration with sort of edge of breakup to medium gain tones. Maybe the drive around 2 or 3, I think works really, really well. So I'll just bash out a few chords with the split coil mode here, clean everything up, and then we'll hear it with the comp on. It kind of works as a tonal embiggener or fattener. You need 3 compressors to have a good guitar tone, but adding a little bit in various stages kind of creates a pretty unique feel to the guitar. It definitely aids legato playing and slide playing on there. And as we heard with that VCA bus style compressor on there, the overall tonal effect is quite subtle. I would really encourage you to try out a few different comps, either in front of the amp and cab or after the amp and cab, just to see if it's going to add maybe an element that you feel is missing from your tone, or maybe it's just going to give you more of what you already like about your guitar sound. You don't have to go too crazy with them. There is also a Rockman compressor. I've done a video on that one over on my channel if you want to check that one out. Basically, the Rockman, or the Rock Guy type as it's called, with the tone control all the way up. That's your Rockman Clean 2 sound from the old X100. It's kind of magic. But let's move on from the comps. The Tube Driver 5 knob, I really like the sound of, especially if you turn the treble all the way down, give it a bit of extra drive and level. I've got a bit of stereo BBD delay happening here. Let's have a listen to what this one does. I'm going to go back to the bridge humbucker. Gilmour or an Eric Johnson fan, I would highly recommend checking out that new Tube Driver model in there, and again, slather it in delay and reverb and have a good time. It's like a cheat code for your lead playing on there. There is also a few updated Dynacomp models, an absolutely classic, straightforward compressor. These are based on the old Ross compressor. There's the Dynacomp Classic and a modern version, as well as an economy version in there, which is called Econo Dynacomp. There's also this Dynacomp Soft as well, or Dynamicomp as they're named in there. But the classic mode, I think, sounds great. Like some of the other compressors, you have the ability to add some drive. There's even a tone control on here, which I kind of like to turn up a little bit. But this, with a cleaner amp, just gives you that instant sort of 70s, 80s funk tone. Like I said earlier, there's actually a bunch of brand new compressor types in there, which I haven't looked at in this video, but with the comps, I'd encourage you to try them with subtle settings and extreme settings and see what works best for your rig. You can use them as subtle tonal enhancers, or you can use them, as we heard with that kind of stacked comp or the dynamic comp examples in there, to transform the character of your guitar and really give you a pronounced effect. I'm actually going to play you all out with the updated Friedman BE model. I really like the C45 model in here. There's been some changes to this one under the hood based on the reference amp. There's also been a general modeling improvement with a new triode algorithm in there, which may make your presets sound more to your liking. It may add a little bit of extra bounce and sizzle and all that good stuff. It's pretty amazing to see the Axe effects continue to be improved. This is quite a significant update. If you've got existing presets with compressors, it will change the sound of your preset. So as always, back up your unit before you do anything. I'm going to put this preset up for free so you can all try it, including the free IR. I've also updated my blocks library over on my Gumroad store, which I'll link in the video description. If you like what I do, you can support me directly that way. You can also support the G66 channel by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. And that way you can keep up to date with all the weekly videos that come out on the G66 channel from all the amazingly talented creators here at G66. I'm Leon Todd. I will see you all on next week's video. Take it easy and enjoy Firmware 28 for your Axe FX 3.